Alright, well, hey everybody, you probably can hear just this little thing I got going in the background. Let's see if I can turn my mic on. Not mic. Just gonna think about turning on my webcam, but today I'm going to go over. You probably can hear. Well, I don't want. Fuck. Well, shit. Fuck that. I had my desktop audio on. That was a mistake. So today I'm going to go over this idea that I had for an encounter. Basically, it's just on the DND map. I want all these little places, like all these little people on the map. I don't want to have to roll for everything. I want the players to cross somewhere and then encounter the map. So I have two maps of Icewind Dale. I have an Icewind Dale map for the party to see. So, you know, they'll drag their little characters out, and let me just go ahead and grab a human. Well, shit, maybe not. I'll just grab a goblin, right? So the party will be going. They'll be starting at Bryn Shander. So they're starting at Bryn Shander, and then I can say, okay, well, I have the party coming at Bryn Shander. What is at Bryn Shander that makes sense? And what I have at Bryn Shander is a Cold Walker. That's in the way. Cold Light Walker. And why are Cold Light Walkers at Bryn Shander? Well, Bryn Shander, Targhost, and East Haven all sacrifice people. So when they're sacrificed to the cold, they become Cold Light Walkers. So it makes sense that these three cities all have Cold Light Walkers in range of them. And so for each of my two little things, the token and the aura, it's going to be what is the creature, and then after that it's going to be what is the range that they have. So this also allows me to track the first quest, the Cold Open, with Cephik Caltro. Spoiler alert, he's a fucking murderer. Everyone kind of knows that though. But for him, I'm going to, you know, they start at Bryn Shander. He's not going to be at Bryn Shander. He's going to be at the neighboring town of Targhost. And then, you know, once he moves, you know, maybe he'll go to Bremen. And then maybe he'll make the long way around to Lonelywood. You know, and then he can go here, and then he can, you know, well, since they have dog sleds, they're going to cut across to Karakong, you know. So it's however you want to do it. But this way, I'm tracking the first quest, which is the Cold-Hearted Killer. You could also do Nature Spirits, but this time I'm just doing Cold-Hearted Killer. And as they moved from town to town, bam, now he's in this town, and the players don't know because this is the map they see. They see where they're at. So that is the simple explanation of the overview of this map. So let me get coffee real quick, but each of the little icons can represent a different group. Each of their auras can represent different groups. I didn't think about that until I started it. Started finishing up adding all the tokens. Most of the beasts are yellow, which includes the Cold Light Walkers. The orcs from the tribe of Many Arrows have black aura. I just chose it because it's distinctive. You know, everything kind of runs together eventually. So these flying beasts up here have their own blue aura. So let's go ahead and talk about why each icon is at each place. So I already gave the rundown of the Cold Light Walkers. So for every in-game day, and if I want to make it a little bit easier, I could make it every other in-game day, every 3 days. But each little place is going to have one other Cold Light Walkers, because if I remember right, the towns sacrifice people every day. But I can reference my materials over here. So, you know, I'll go to maybe you're running chapter 1, and then I'll go down to sacrifices. Thought I also may search in there in the quest, but maybe not. So let's go to Bryn Shander. I think this will just have all the names of it. The way I'm starting my campaign, by the way, is they're in Bryn Shander. They're all going to be at a lottery to be essentially sacrificed. I'm going to have one group set to the side, and those are going to be the people sacrificed, but they're going to have a talking to, like, here it is, the 10 Towns overview. They're going to have a talking to like they're going to make it, like they're not going to get sacrificed, but it's going to be a bunch of words about, like, you know, how lucky everybody is, you know, how they'll live on, and all that kind of stuff. But they're not living on literally. They're living on as to the spirit of the town. So it's going to be a bait and switch at the beginning. Let's see. The desperate people of 10 towns, hoping to appease Oral, so that Summer can return to Icewind Dale, make sacrifice. Okay, so Nights of the New Moon. So every new moon, there's going to be a Cold Walker. It's going to be another Cold Walker. They've already been doing it a couple times, so you could add a couple Cold Walkers to each town. So, humanoid sacrifices. Bryn Shander, East Haven, and Targos hold lotteries the afternoon before the new moon. The unlucky person whose name is drawn is sacrificed at nightfall. They are stripped bare and either tied to a post or sent into the tundra to die. Accusations of rigged lotteries are common, but usually not acted upon. So they'll say, you rigged it, and then nothing will happen. Nothing will happen at all. So every new moon, there's going to be another Cold Walker added to the pile. So it's a problem that they'll have to deal with. Alright, so we got Cold Walkers. Those are going to be should be some of the premier encounters for new creatures in Icewind Dale. Let's go ahead and talk about the dwarves for a second. So on the map, you've got Kelvin's Cairn, or Karen. Hopefully, hopefully I'm saying that right. So this is a lone mountain in Icewind Dale, and there's a Dwarven Valley. So this lone peak every summer melts and then provides the water to Mayor Doldon, Lac-Dinishire, etc. down here. With the everlasting winter, the everlasting Rime, that's not happening. But in the Cairn, there are dwarves. So I forget where I specifically pulled this up, but Maybe it was, I think it was one of the random encounters. You can see that there's the Battlehammer Dwarves. So this table was really useful in particular. So I went and said, okay, in Icewind Dale, there are Yeti, Goliath, wherebear, Crag Cats, Cold Light Walkers, all the way down to Paratons. And I put all of them on this map. So I would say, okay, well, Battlehammer Dwarfs. Let's go down to Battlehammer Dwarfs. And we can read that the clan Battlehammer has iron mines throughout the valley that extends from the base of Cairns Cairn. And then this describes the encounter. So, I have all these dwarves in here. And I can go in here, I can say, okay, well, I want to have a radius of 2 miles, and because they're dwarves, let's give them a red tint. You know, kind of like the heat of forage. So I'm going to put them right back here at the very base. I'm going to paste one, and then kind of put one kind of in the middle, and then put another one kind of at the end. Now, they will be traveling to and from the towns in order to sell things. Maybe they have knucklehead trout if they're fishers. So you'll be able to see things like in here, there's a really good chance of running into dwarves. You know, maybe you could even cross it right here and then say, okay, well, here there are three lines that cross. So if they go right here, they're definitely going to meet dwarves because there's 3 circles and they all touch. However you want. And you know, so I ran down the whole table. So the Orc Eye of Gurmesh, this will represent all of the many arrows encounters. So the Orcs of Many Arrows tribe. And what I'm trying to do on here is essentially having one token to represent one encounter, one kind of encounter. It's not going to be helpful for me to have a whole bunch of different ones and then be like, oh, okay, well, what was this one? You know, that guy's actually in Targos. That's not going to be helpful. That kind of lays out the random encounters. So I thought, you know, well, Yetis, they'll be kind of in the mountains, so this area down here, this looks like a pretty good cave, a pretty good area for a cave. I don't want the whole landscape riddled with Yetis. I will, however, have the land riddled with owlbears. It's my personal choice. The Icewind Kobolds. The Icewind Kobolds are looking for a white dragon to worship in Icewind Dale when you encounter them. So I'm going to place them in a couple random places. I could also put one in the mountains because they like to be in the mountains. And so then, you know, maybe put them on the way to the Id Ascendant. Put some on the way to the Sunblight. They're kobolds. They dig in the mountains all the time. And so then you'll have these areas that, like, maybe I want to put them over here, right? And when you're going through the Tin Trail, you're likely to have an encounter. You're going through an Orc-Eye, a Goblin, a Kobold, a Paraton down here. You're likely to hit something. So as far as all the random encounter goes, those are all the random encounters. You know, you've got your gnolls down here, Puritans in the mountains, because they have a nickname I can go to. Da, da, da. Yeah, there we go. Bane of the Mountains. So they roost atop mountain ridges and have their lair in caves. So you could give, since they fly, you can give them a wider radius. You could even do 5 miles if you want, and then it's like, okay, well, I want to have them a radius of 5 miles, and I'm going to delete all the ones that aren't 5 miles. So there's one I'm going to delete and just copy paste, replace it with 5 miles. Work smarter, not harder. You can do that, copy that, paste it, and then just do that for every area that you think would be good for Paratons. So if you have it like up here, there, over here is Sky Tower Shelter, and the Worm Doom Crag. I have a player that is going to be from there. So if I do it like this, it's concentrated at the center, about right here. So it's like if they go from Sky Tower Shelter to Worm Doom Crag, they'll be attacked by a Paraton. So it has multiple crossovers. The Cave of the Berserkers have the Chandrelon Berserkers. So I'm going to have the Chandrelon Berserkers operating in an area around their own cave. It makes sense for them to, operate around their cave. So it's heavily dense. It's pretty dense around here. You'll have like maybe 1 or 2 that venture out to try to claim territory, get resources, expand. Things that kingdoms naturally do, groups naturally do. You have the raid chieftains, and these are going to represent camps in the Wilderness Encounter table. So these are going to be random camps that they could come across. There's everybody's favorite Goliath wherebear that's out here, and I have them so they can encounter them in the mountains near Sky Tower Shelter, but they're not going to be in Sky Tower Shelter. The Goliaths regularly travel to and from Sky Tower Shelter, the Wormdoom Crag, and they make their way up here, go down, and then they start meeting at the towns. So the Goliath Werebear, real thing in Icewind Dale, but it's almost like a myth to the Goliaths. Some have seen them, some have not. But being a werebear, they are good in nature and often will try to do good things in their community. The named werebear in this community we will go down there and talk about it. Goliath werebear. It could be this person herself. Let me pull up the pronunciation guide in my handy dandy Icewind Dale campaign book. Oyame Nartok is a legendary Goliath polar werebear. Oyame Nartok. Okay. if my player character, who is a Goliath, from the Wormdew Crag, encounters her, they will, have this encounter with her, and if they have if they have that encounter where essentially the wherebear likes the party, and decides that she's going to give the Goliath the disease of essentially being a were, like the lycanthropy, however the hell I say it. She's going to turn my player character, who's a Goliath, into a Goliath werebear. So, that's something I've already got set up ahead. The other place that this Goliath werebear is nearby the Black Cabin, and I forgot to track that down. So guess what? I'm gonna take this and put it nearby the Black Cabin. I could put it closer to here, so it's less likely we're in the way. If you look at the encounter at the Black Cabin, they're more likely to encounter. They're more likely to encounter this werebear at the Black Cabin if there's a team wipe due to what is at the Black Cabin. So that's why it's okay, well, you can put them near the Black Cabin. Let's go over a couple more. Frost Giants. So in this campaign, it's a fresh campaign. We haven't decided that the events of Storm King's Thunder have finished. So because of that, in Storm King's Thunder, there's a floating island that I haven't labeled. And let me open up my handy dandy book for it. It's called Zvardborg. It's a unique floating island filled with frost giants. It's called the Burg of the Frost Giants. So I've chosen to have frost giants as an active, to have an active role in this campaign. Because it's fairly interesting how much stuff happens in other campaigns, and for the sake of maybe sanity for the DM, it's excluded. Maybe you don't want to put Icewind Dale stuff together with Storm King's Thunder stuff, or together with the other thing that kind of bleeds over to this is Tomb of Annihilation, because the Ring of Winter, into here, because there's only so much stuff that you want to be able to handle, be able to explore, and you don't want an already $60 book to be $120 because it's filled with that shit. Whatever, fine, perfect. But because I want to go the extra mile, this is what I'm doing. So one of my player characters is from Schult. So what we decided, he's a lizard folk, and I'm going to have in his backstory that he encounters artist Simber, who owns the Ring of Winter, the legendary Ring of Winter. The Ring of Winter is an object that can cause a never-ending winter, which is a goal of Auril, the Frostmaiden. Long time ago, Artist Simber was made a chosen of Auril the Frostmaiden. this is particularly interesting. So in that edition, it mentions that they are a chosen of Oral the Frostmaiden, and that their job is to protect the Ring of Winter. I don't know why. No one really talks about it. So this is Dragon 367. If we go down to Hall of the Frostmaiden, just keep going down. Winter Hall. You can eventually see, we can just Control F and artists will pop up. Sorry. It's the US. Alright, religion. Chosen invested are invested with a portion of the Frostmaiden's divinity. Orals, Etcharchs include the Ice Queen, Australia, and artist Simber. So, there we go. And this was like from a 4th edition book that came out in 2008. Dragon 367. So I'm like, okay, well, our December, who's in Tomb of Annihilation, has the Ring of Winter, and he's going to charge the player character with keeping safe of a vessel he doesn't know. But the Frost Giants will associate my player character with our December, and since the events of Storm King's Thunder haven't taken place, they will actively go after him. So you've got a couple of different Frost Giant locations, like Jarlmut. I think it's not here, but like elsewhere that the map doesn't listed, there's like the Hall of the Storm King that exists in the Spine of the World. And so that's potentially another location you can send them to. Storm King's Thunder also has a much more detailed map of Bryn Shander, the main fucking place in this campaign. So I went and detailed that a little more in Bryn Shander. And so I've got Kevin's Comfort, the Speaker's Palace, which, I mean, this looks important, but you don't know if you don't have that book. The House of the Triad, so another church. So there are 2 churches. Shows the armory, you know. So I just gave it a little more detail. There's like another inn here, and with the city being 1,200 people, there could be even another inn in here. But I had it enough detail to where they can go to the map, but they're not going to get lost in it. Let's go back to the GM map. Other custom things I've kind of added. The Dwagar are going to, you know, have their Charnlin Dragon attack the 10 towns, and that's like the next. That's the next piece of Icewind Dale after they go confront the Sunblight and his palace. So what I decided is, you know, they're going to make their own entity, kind of like the Dwemer construct in Skyrim. So, you know, kind of like this guy if he was piloted by a Dwemer. Because you've got your hammerers over here who, you know, A, they're constructs. B, they pilot this kind of thing, right? So they're just going to have cobbled together something that's like a construct, except for it's got a flamethrower, it's got a grappling hook, and it has a hand with a sword. So the things I'm adding to this campaign is they're coming out of the Sunblight, and you know, when our players go down to attack Assault Sunblight, they'll be met by the Dwegar. And last but not least is going to be oh shit, you know, can't even say that. Can't even say last major event that I'm tracking on the map is going to be Karkolokuk, which is a goblin fortress that is resolved in Chapter 2. It is controlled by a goblin, Yarbnocht, who's not actually a goblin. So they just have a metal disguise like they are a goblin. But if I remember right, they're actually a gnome. If I remember right. Yeah. They're a gnome that cobbled together this outfit to survive, felt sorry for the goblins, and decided, you know what? They could use their own fortress, so we'll make their own fortress. And there's some internal political issues that are happening over the course of the campaign that I'm not going into. But one of the first encounters that the party will have with him is the Foaming Mugs in Bryn Shander. And because it's the main town, it's going to be something that a lot of people run. A lot of people are going to run this mission. So basically, dwarves are going to have their iron ingots taken by goblins, and I'm going to have them been stolen by the goblins of Karkolokuk, however the hell you say it. And their goal is to take it back to this place, and they're going to make weapons with it. So the party doesn't catch them, and they come back, and you know, there are going to be consequences. And then, meanwhile, there are other goblin raiding parties out in the waste. You know, so that's going to be happening there. And every so often, every time like a goblin makes it back, stays a day, and then goes out, they're going to be like another goblin raiding party. So if they start killing these goblins, like you just, you know, fucking remove them from the map, there's going to be less problems. There's going to be less goblins to make less problems. If they ignore it or don't solve the problem, there's going to be more goblins. And in this fortress, there are quite a bit of goblins. So they're not calling on everybody to go out, but if they are more confident in their persons, they can go out. So last two things. The two white dragons. There are two dragons that everybody kind of knows that are in the area. There's the named one with the Dark Duchess, Arbiturice, probably butchered that. And then there is actually one that lives in the Sea of Moving Ice, which is why they're off screen. That is their mate, not mace, Jesus. Fucking spraying with shit, pepper spray and shit. So there's two white dragons that'll be operating in the area. I'll have this one kind of, you know, like fly around every so often. And if they cross the players, there is a chance that they could encounter this dragon as it goes through the wilderness, doing whatever, eating. It doesn't matter, you know, what dragons do. And then this one, I want to say occasionally, not very much, we'll just kind of go through Icewind Dale. Not so often though, they're on the side. And yeah, so that's the overview of this map, how I'm going to run this map. You know, you can do it how you wish. If there's a compelling reason for them to encounter my Goliath wherebears, what's going to be making the story better, I'm going to go with that. I'm not going to ignore telling a good story because this token is on the other side of the map. So yeah, that's all I have for today, basically. Any question, comment, put them below. I'll try to do my best to answer them on Reddit. But I think I'm gonna like running campaigns this way better because I can add stuff, I can remove stuff, I can say where would they be in the world? What makes sense? Does, you know, not to quote South Park, but you know, does that make sense? Oh, also Evil Frost Druid, but that's another story. Alright, thanks for watching the video. This is my take, my garbage hot take on what I think might be a good idea for encounter maps. Instead of just rolling a die to find out what happens, let's try to make it a little more logical. Where would people be? What would they do? There wouldn't be dwarves inside of a goblin fortress unless there's a reason they got captured. You know, then there can be a reason. Okay. Thanks for watching.